Folks, a couple of weeks ago I had my good friend, the Lieutenant Governor, on the show, and I had to bring him back because we didn't finish our discussion about how he's doing in the State House. And he's been proactive. He had said he was going to be when he ran for Lieutenant Governor, and he's been in the forefront and certainly much more active than most people would ever expect the Lieutenant Governor to be. And he's really worked on a lot of issues. In fact, Lieutenant Governor, how you doing, Dan McKee?
I'm doing very good, Bob.
Now, we had started a conversation a couple weeks ago, right?
Yes.
2 or 3 weeks ago.
2 or 3 weeks ago, early June.
Early June. And we talked about, I guess we left it that you were going to have, the PUC was meeting, right? Wasn't there some kind of a
hearing
at the PUC?
Yes.
That's where we left it, right?
Yes.
And what happened?
Well, I think that things went really well.
Now let's backtrack a little bit for
yes.
people that may not have seen the last show or forgot it. We talked about the PUC. What was the purpose of the meeting?
So it's the Public Utility Commission.
Right.
And they set electric rates and water rates and phone rates. They weigh in on anything that has to do with public utilities.
Right.
And we, because of the big increase in electric rates this past
Crazy.
December,
Yes, in the 20s,
26%
right?
or so, we intervened on behalf of as the Lieutenant Governor-elect. Our office intervened with the PUC to weigh in on and to find out why are these electric rates spiking. So this was a continuation of that. We asked to be heard again, our office, and we hired expert witnesses and expert attorneys. Partnered in at this point with the Attorney General, Peter Kilmartin,
right.
His office, who weighs in on terms of consumer advocacy. Ours is more on the small business based on the profile of our office. And also worked with the Department of Public Utility Commission, which is the administrative wing for the public utilities. And worked with the National Grid as well to eliminate the adjustment that was really being troubling to a lot of the ratepayers in the state. If they were changing their vendor,
If they change from National
Grid
to
another supplier,
right.
which has been part of the state's, the General Assembly's passage of legislation 15, 16 years ago to create competition. But the problem was,
they nail you.
They
when
nail
you
you,
do it, right?
And people got nailed all over the place. We had a small
big
business
adjustments too.
in Burrillville, $1,800 adjustment, $400, $500 adjustment. Our chief of staff, Tony Silva, ran into somebody down in Westerly that was moving into Rhode Island and had a place down in the South County area and got whacked almost $450. So we intervened to ask the Public Utility Commission to drop the adjustment so that there would be no mystery about it. If you switched, you get what you get.
Right.
And then you wouldn't be worried about getting hit with a late
Well,
fee.
how can they charge an adjustment anyway? What's that all about?
Well, they charge it because if you leave to another supplier and then they have already purchased the energy for you,
right.
they are entitled to an
They're on
adjustment.
the short
that.
end, I guess.
That's correct.
Yeah.
But so we ended up with not only our office advocating for the adjustment at that hearing on about a week ago, last week. Also, the Attorney General's advocated to drop the adjustment. The Department of Public Utilities advocated to drop the adjustment, and the National Grid, where in Massachusetts they had opposed it, they actually testified that they would favor dropping the adjustment. So
the Massachusetts National Grid.
That's correct.
The Massachusetts portion of the
Yes,
National Grid.
where Massachusetts now has just recently dropped the adjustment for its ratepayers that could potentially be charged back to them, as well as New Hampshire. So what it's really good, but it was not really reported, and I'm glad that we're on the show here, because if the people that are listening in that really want to control their rates, their electric rates going forward, they need to call the Public Utility Commission and tell them, look at, all four of those parties say drop the adjustment.
Right.
Make sure you drop the adjustment. So it was like a tree fell in the woods, but nobody was
heard
there
it.
to listen.
Nobody heard it.
And that's why we're going to be out, and we're going to be doing press releases and press conferences next week leading up to the decision, the final decision, because that 3-person board will make the final decision whether or not you really drive competition into the mix and help ratepayers throughout the
So
state of
they
Rhode Island.
could conceivably, well, you're hoping that they're going to drop the adjustment.
We're hoping they drop the adjustment, but there was uncertainty in terms of some of the questions they asked and whether they were thinking about doing it. And the reason was that if a number of people leave National Grid and there are adjustments, the adjustments can be shared, there's charges across the board. But the one thing that we testified on and that has not been really spoken to, it's pennies on the bill. Pennies on the bill to give you flexibility to go save hundreds.
So in other words, if everybody agrees to, well, they're not going to agree anyway. It would be the PUC that agrees.
The PUC will hopefully they will follow both Massachusetts and New Hampshire, drop the adjustment as the National Grid, the Department of Public Utilities, the Attorney General's office, and our office all advocated for. If they drop that, it's going to drive competition, and it's going to position ratepayers in the state of Rhode Island not to be afraid of selecting alternate energy suppliers for fear that somehow they're going to get charged those bills that we just talked about.
And it is competitive when you go with other providers, right?
It is competitive, and part of our strategy is going to be put together a website similar to Connecticut and that's working on right now, and Pennsylvania has had for a couple years, so that ratepayers can go to a website and really see in clear language what their options are.
Right.
And then make sure that the people who are providing these alternate energy suppliers make sure that they're honest in terms of the way that they present themselves and not do lead-in pricing.
I was just going to say that. That was my next question. Could they sucker you in
They
by
could.
saying...
And so that's part of what we need to do is to make sure that with the adjustment being dropped, that we make sure that the vendors that are supplying the energy to the customer, to the customer base out there, the ratepayers, that they're doing it on the up and up. And there's good, credible companies that are doing that, but we got to make sure that if we provide information to ratepayers, that they're getting the information that they need to make a decision without fearing that somehow that they might make a mistake.
Yeah, and how about coming back? Can they switch back?
You should be able to come back at the same time without a fee, without any level of a fee. So usually
because it's not going to be like the phone company where you get 2 years, you get locked in, which I don't understand why we have that anyway. That's something else that should be talked about.
Yeah, well, that'd be something that we would explore, because we budgeted, we got the General Assembly to approve a piece of our budget, which is $1 million, a piece of our budget, so that we can intervene with the Public Utility Commission on any time that we think it's going to impact, a rate will impact a small business in the state of Rhode Island. That's what we're trying to do, advocate for advanced Rhode Island, boosting business friendliness, and we talked about that last time. And
well, we're going to continue talking about that, but I got to say hi to Al. You know Al, is that Al Keith? Is that Al Keith? Where is he? Is that Al Keith? Who's that with you there? Is that David? David Dango.
Hello, Bob.
Now, how you doing? I'll see you guys down at East Greenwich, right?
In the hotel.
Yeah. In the hotel. East Greenwich Hotel. You ever been on the East Greenwich Hotel, Lieutenant Governor?
I've been to East Greenwich with you. I don't know the hotel, but we've been down there to Jiggers and what was the other place that we had breakfast on when we did our 39 cups of coffee?
Oh, I used to be called Andreas. It used to be Andreas. I forget what the heck. What do they call it now?
Is the hotel close to that?
What that? It's right across the street from Jiggers.
You didn't bring me there.
Well, it wasn't open.
Oh, okay.
Well, we were there during the day. It wasn't open.
Let's make sure you get me down there.
That's a landmark, the East Greenwich Hotel. Oh, it's got a gorgeous bar, huh? What do you see, about 35 people around that oval-shaped bar? Owned by the Joseph family. Great, great people. Beautiful people. I just wish they'd open up. I wish they'd listen to me and open up that other side of it.
Talking about that for 7 years, nobody's listening.
The sheetrock's still there. The sheetrock's been there for 7 years too. I mean, they have the sheetrock because all they got to do is open up the wall halfway. I suggested they open it up halfway and put a counter over the top of it, and move the bands in the back. Because folks, if you don't know it, down there at the East Greenwich Hotel, they have open mic night, and they have bands like these guys and other bands. We've had several of them on the show over the years. They go down there and they play open mic. They'll have some newbies, and then they'll have regular bands, and they'll have duos and solo acts, and all night long. And they have them on Thursday night, Friday night,
Tuesday night, and Saturday nights open mic hosted by Mark McCrush.
Oh, there you go. Yep. And then on Friday and Saturday, no, Friday night they have bands.
Monday's like an open jam. I haven't been there in a while. The schedule might have changed.
But they have music there virtually every night.
Joanne's a big supporter of music.
Oh, she sure is. And she's a good guitar player, too.
can play the bass a little bit. Yeah.
There you go. Now, what are you going to play for us? I understand it's your own stuff, huh?
This is my own stuff. I got a CD coming out called Color Blue, which will be out in a few weeks.
Color Blue.
Color Blue. It's kind of a story of the last few years of my life, getting through divorce and coming out the positive end of life.
Oh my God! So is it country now, or is it blues?
Some of it's country, some of it's rock and roll. It's you can't pigeonhole me, Bob. It's not going to work. But let's see. On the CD is myself playing guitar, bass, vocals. My friend Autumn Francesca is the drummer. She plays on all the songs, and my friend Paula Claire sings back up on 2 songs and keyboards on 1 song, and they're all original songs.
All right. Well, give us an original song tonight. It's about your divorce, right?
This one's called Cling a Clang Clung, and it's about when I was married. My ex-wife used to like read romance novels, and I was getting kind of lonely. So
no!
I wrote this song.
All right, give it to us.
All right.
Sitting on the couch on a Sunday night, another day of ball gone by. I lost me another $20 bill, but that won't make me cry. My woman's in the bedroom, reading about someone's life. That way ain't the way for me. I'd rather cling a clang clung all night. Well, has our love come so cold? You need to read about love. Ain't I even good enough with the help of God above? Well, I've got news for you, little gal, but you might not think it's right. I'll sit right down with my old 6-string and I'll cling a clang clung all night. Cling a clang clung on my guitar, that'll make me feel alright. Cling a clang clung in the morning, cling a clang clung all night. If you won't pay me attention, that's just mighty fine. I'll cling a clang clung on my guitar, then I will feel alright. Well, lately I feel like I'm all alone. This feeling ain't too good. You're not really treating me the way that you really should. Well, I've got news for you, little gal, though you might not think it right. I'll sit right down with my old wooden box and I'll cling a clang clung all night. Yeah, cling a clang clung on my guitar, that'll make me feel alright. Cling a clang clung in the morning, cling a clang clung all night. If you won't pay me attention, that's just mighty fine. I'll cling a clang clung on my guitar, and then I will feel alright. Well, I'll give you just one more warning. I'll give you one more chance. 'Cause if you don't mend your ways, I'll teach my guitar to dance. Always does me right, you know, and never does me no wrong. Every single tune I play is her favorite song. Yeah, cling a clang clung on my guitar, that'll make me feel alright. Cling a clang clung in the morning, cling a clang clung all night. If you won't pay me attention, that's just mighty fine. I'll cling a clang clung on my guitar, and she will become my wife. I'll cling a clang clung on my guitar, and she will become my wife. That's just what happened, folks. Some woman got the guitar.
Cling Cling-a-clang-clong
On the guitar.
on the
I
guitar.
wrote that while I was still living in Texas and talked funny.
Very good, very good. And you were still married at that time.
I was still married, thinking about maybe I should get out of this. That was like 15 years ago, so what do you know?
Wow. Wow. How long you been married? How long have you been unmarried, I should say?
I lost count. I'm so happy.
Me too. Oh my God. Never mind. That'll bring some remarks. That's for sure. Anyway, we're back here, folks, with the Lieutenant Governor on an hour with Bob. Lieutenant Governor, you having fun yet? That's all I want to know.
I am absolutely having a lot of fun, Bob. Always have fun with you.
Well, no, I don't mean with me.
Come
I
on,
mean,
an hour with Bob.
And your job as a Lieutenant Governor.
As Lieutenant Governor.
Yeah.
Oh.
We had a lot of fun.
Yes.
We had a lot of fun during the campaign.
Absolutely.
We had a lot of fun going around to the 39
Meeting a lot of
cities and
people. I think that we should go. We had the 39 cups of coffee.
We're supposed to go back.
I thought we'd go on for like 39 pints of beer or something like that.
But I don't drink.
Well, we'll get you like a fake beer.
I don't like the smell of beer. That's why I don't drink.
Okay.
I don't like the taste or the smell of it.
Well, we'll get a glass of water.
A glass of something. In fact, what's the name of that place I asked you about down in Route 1, down there, the Umbrella Factory?
Dave's Coffee House.
Dave's Coffee House. Do you remember
We
that?
went to
Way
Dave's
down-
Coffee
I
House.
know. That's what I said.
I have the mug of Dave's Coffee
Exactly.
House in my Lieutenant Governor's office on the shelf with a number of other mugs that we had on that 39 cups
What
of
a
coffee
great
tour.
place that was. And what a lot of great places we
Yes.
did down there. How about down on in Hope Valley, that bakery we went to?
Oh, yes.
Was that awesome?
That was a cold day.
Yeah.
That was a cold
Good
day.
food though, and good stuff
Yes.
in there. Yeah, that
Yes.
was a cold day.
Yes, we gave my family and our friends like a cup of coffee, and then they went out and held the signs.
Yes.
It wasn't a very busy intersection either.
No,
in Hope
no,
Valley.
no.
But we did it.
Well, do you know in Rhode Island, and I'm going to show a clip a little later about that. It's good lead-in, by the way.
Yeah,
Lieutenant
okay.
Governor. That was pretty good. This state, as we talked about last time, I told you before that as far as we only spend $400,000 compared to 15 million in Massachusetts promoting our state. And I say that this show and Bob's Big Adventure does more to promote the state of Rhode Island than almost anything the state of Rhode Island does, and it's sad. It's sad that that happens. But do you know that this state is 37 miles wide and 48 miles long, and we still have over 60% of the state is woodlands. Do you know that? Do you ever fly over the state?
Never flew over the state.
Oh, come on! I'm going to take you up then.
Okay.
You're not afraid of helicopters,
No,
are you?
no, I'll go on that.
There's a good helicopter ride. It's only $100 for 3 people. You can take 3 people in a helicopter and fly around. Well, they go to Newport, but I think I can get them to go somewhere else. We'll go around the state.
Can we go to Block Island?
Yes.
Okay.
Or we can take a plane over there.
Where did we go to Block Island? Was it Bethany's?
Yes.
Right at the airport. Yeah.
Exactly. That was a cool
Thumbs
place. In fact, that's what we could do too. We could take a plane out of North Central,
Yes.
since you're from Cumberland.
Yes.
Take a plane out of North Central, and we'll go to Block Island. On the way over, I'll show you the western part of the state of Rhode Island. Oh, don't you remember, and I know you do remember, West Greenwich. Remember?
Oh, yes.
Of the 6,000 people in the
We
whole
had a
town.
lot of trouble finding a place. We ended up at the truck stop.
Yep, on a
Yeah.
Sunday. We couldn't find a place that had open in the morning for coffee.
Yes, right across from Dan's.
Nice place. I like
Yes,
that place.
that was a good place.
That was a good place.
They
That
have a
was good
nice
spot.
little BMX bike track there, if you recall.
That we went to? Yeah, of course
yeah.
I do. Yes.
Oh, yeah. That was good.
We went to that. We had a lot of great.
yeah.
There's a lot of cool places in this state. Do you know there are 2, not 1, there are 2 hatcheries in the state of Rhode Island? Hatcheries where you can see fish and kids can go. It doesn't even cost anything to go see them. Perryville is one of them down there, way down on Route 1. You know that one, right? Anyway, we got a clip after. We'll show it in a little while. We're not ready to show that, but we'll show that in a little while about Rhode Island, the beauty of this state, and you know what this state has to offer. And like I've said so many times, I've been to 45 or 46 states, and no state compares to this state all around. And it's sad that it's in such turmoil over other things, or that we spend so much time. Like, look what we did last year, the legislature. They were working at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning over, okay, it's a good thing. It's a great thing that happened. But let's fix the state's business. Let's get the state working, you know, rather than we deal. It's nice to deal with social issues. Now they want to, deal with the marijuana issue. They want to deal with all these other issues. How about getting everybody back to work first, and then we can deal with what happens in your leisure time.
Yeah, well,
let's get people working.
We need to do that. They've been fairly focused this session, Bob. on the economy and jobs. The governor's budget clearly was, and it sounds as though they're passing a good portion of her budget.
Yeah, but I'm more concerned of the legislature, and I think you are too, because first of all, we'll talk about Advanced Rhode Island. What is that all about?
Yes, so that's the theme of our office. It's going to be
Right.
Advance Rhode Island, and one of the areas is in small business friendliness. So I actually brought you a pen because last time we talked about the fact that we were going to have this company in called Thumbtack from California,
Yes,
which I invited in.
Yes, San
That
Francisco, right?
the service companies that are part of their network had given us an F in business friendliness
Right.
for 3 years in a row. And we have reason to believe that it'll be the same in June because they did the polling last fall. So we had them in. Amika hosted it. We brought the very businesses in that gave us Fs. We had 40 people there. We had municipal leadership there, and we had decision makers from the Commerce, Department of Business Regulation there, all listening for 4 hours. First 2 hours to talk up to them, the businesses, why they felt as though that the state of Rhode Island was unfriendly in their opinion.
Right.
And then we spent the next lunch, and then we interacted, and then we spent the next 2 hours
Trying to figure out how to fix it.
well, talking about what A's look like, all right? And so we've done we've documented it, but that's our theme: Advanced Rhode Island, boosting business friendliness. There you go. That's a pen. It's got nice Rhode Island blue on there.
Oh yeah.
And so we'll keep you posted if we're able to work and improve business friendliness in the state of Rhode Island, and we're going to circle back with the companies that were part of this Thumbtacks network, the service companies, and try to help service them. And we got some pretty good ideas. We've already met with some of the decision makers that were at that meeting on June 4th, I think it was. So we're aggressively trying to figure out how to play a role out of our office to make our state a better place.
Well, that's good. That's good to hear.
And
That's great
business
to hear.
friendliness is a big deal. That's
Well,
a
you've
big
done
deal.
that in Cumberland. I mean, you really.
Well, we did the
good
best
job
we
in
could. I think
Cumberland.
that there's local stuff that you can do, local things. That's why we had municipal leaders there. Town Administrator Alman was there. Mayor Labate was there. We had Town Administrator Paul at Hamilton was able to attend. So on the local level, you can do things, but on the state level, you can do things, and that's
Right.
that's hopefully the role that I'm going to be able to help play a role in. To contribute to that, and
Well, that's what you bring
we'll be
to
able
the
see.
state too, and that's nice. That's a nice mix because the legislature, as we talked about, and I'll say it, the legislature controls this state, and it's nice to have a guy in there that is from a municipal background and knows what it's like to deal with a municipal budget, and can talk the right game to some of these people that don't have a real handle on what's going on in each city and town, which are different. Each city and town is unique, right?
We visited a small business in Central Falls today that is a very unique way to grow produce without under lamps and without any soil. So we're taking my background initially before I became mayor of Cumberland was in business. Small business.
Right,
We
of course.
operated a business. We have a family business in our town that my dad had for a number of years in the plumbing and the heating business, the oil business. And then my wife Susan and I, we opened up a health club in Woonsocket in 1981. Right in 1980, actually, the year that the Olympics, the hockey team beat Russia in the Olympics hockey. I remember that. My dad's birthday actually is today. My dad died in '86, but I remember him taking that cork off the bottle of champagne, and all the members that were there around the wine and beer bar we had, we toasted to that victory. And a big day in our family today. I didn't tell you that.
No.
We had my mom, who turned 87 this weekend. My dad's birthday today. We just had our first. My mom just had her first great grandchild born today.
Oh, wow!
So that's good. My sister Mary Ellen, you know Mary
Yes,
Ellen.
of course.
Her son Dylan. You were on the campaign trail with them. Dylan
Yes.
and Megan, his wife Megan, just
Right.
had a little baby boy today, this
Oh,
morning,
wow.
and we saw that. Those are the nice things you celebrate besides all this other work that we're trying
And that's
to
the
get done.
first one.
First great grandchild
Wow.
for my mom. So she was able to live to see that, and hopefully she's going to be able to live to see many more because a number of the kids are my kids, and my brother and sister kids are getting old enough
Right.
now, so they're starting to think about
Families
stuff
and
like that.
whatever.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's
your
good.
son and your daughter, they You think they're getting ready? You think?
Well,
are you pushing them?
I
there?
didn't say. I said many of my nieces and nephews are already. You know, we have a niece in England that lives in England right now, and her and David. I'm sure that eventually they're going to. So, anyways, so it's a good day. My dad's birthday. It's the official day of Portugal, and we had I got my first. What would you call? What am I now? That's not my nephew. I'd be my great nephew.
Great nephew.
Is that a real term?
Yeah, it is.
Great nephew?
Yeah, of course it is.
All right, then
You're a great uncle.
So I'm a great uncle. That's
Right?
what it
You've
is.
heard that term before.
All right, so now, well, I've heard that I was a good uncle.
You're good. Now you're a great uncle.
Now I'm a great uncle. Now
Used
that's
to be a
really
good
better.
uncle. You
Yes.
only used to be a good uncle. Now you're a great
So,
uncle.
anyways, that was a good day, and now these things we're working on are really, really important, and the boosting the business friendliness. If we can move a couple issues that were discussed in that meeting, lowering the corporate tax issue.
Right.
That actually got lowered in this General Assembly by about $50. I'm not sure that that's strong enough, but that was talked about.
But didn't they also talk about, or did they actually already lower the inheritance tax?
They had done that
driving
last
people?
year.
They did that last
Yep.
year, but I thought they were going to lower it even more.
Yeah, I haven't seen the details of the budget yet. That just came out late last night.
Because that's a big argument, a big reason why people move to Florida and take their money with them.
Yeah, it's part of it. But my feeling is that, like I said before, cautiously optimistic. And so on the boosting business friendliness, we have a whole bunch of things that we're working on, including, and if any of your listeners out there have a particular puzzle that they want to get solved that would benefit the state of Rhode Island, they should let our office know. We're creating this Advanced Rhode Island group that we're trying to figure out how to structure it. But basically what it is we're going to try to solve one puzzle at a time. So it might be the car tax issue, it could be another tax issue, it could be some sort of business friendliness issue. It's also, we had one interesting young man that was at this meeting.
Right.
On this Advanced Rhode Island Thumbtack meeting. That would be a great person for you to have in your show. I'll tell you about it. But he came to school at Rhode Island School of Design. He, from Ohio, graduated a few years back. Stayed in Providence,
right.
And he's opened up a design company that's doing web design and furniture design, and he has a co-operator on Westminster Street. And so we need to figure out a way to go and ask these young people that are entrepreneurial, that are in our schools, either from out of state or in state.
Right. How are they doing it?
We want them to stay.
Or to get them to stay.
We want them to stay and invest their skill and talent here. And so that's going to be part of our role. I was at I filled in for the governor, which we're working pretty well together.
Which is great. Which
yes,
which
with
has
our
not
staff
happened in
and
the
everything
past.
else. And the governor had a very important family commitment and was unable to attend the Rhode Island College commencement, and I was able to go and speak on her behalf. And welcome and congratulate the kids from Rhode Island's perspective. But also when I got up to the mic, I said, we need you to stay. We want you to stay. And so yes, we need to make sure that we really make a concerted effort to keep our young skill and talent in the state, in addition to doing what you just said, which was to be cognizant of the fact that we want to make sure that people who have spent their life in the state here have a reason to stay here too and retire
Right.
and,
Yeah, exactly.
and see their great be great uncles like I am
Like
today.
you,
So
like
that's
you.
good. Yeah.
But did you know that Rhode Island College got recognized as one of the best
Yes.
bargains in the country for a higher education?
Yeah, there's a real benefit of that school. My wife Susan graduated that school many years ago, but she's been teaching for several years, and now she teaches in a charter school right on Broad Street, a half a day in reading, helping young kids learn how to read. So, and that's all coming out of, all her education came out of Rhode Island College, and she's helped hundreds and hundreds of students over her career.
And the charter school thing, talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So we're concerned because
Because there's some
there's
legislation right now
Yes.
that's in the...
I think I've been talking about this tug of war between the status quo and transformational type of change. And
People are afraid of change, first of all.
Yeah, they are. So there's still a concerted effort. There's a bill being heard in the Senate tomorrow that was sponsored by Senator Ryan Pearson from Cumberland, that if it was passed, it would hurt thousands of kids that are in the current mayoral academies and charter schools in the state. It would hurt tens of thousands of kids who are benefiting from the competition that the mayoral academy is driving and other good charter schools are driving.
Right.
And they're changing the way that our district schools operate. In Cumberland, Lincoln, Pawtucket, Central Falls, where the Blackstone Valley Prep Mayoral Academy is, every one of the school districts is better, stronger, providing a higher level of academic outcomes
Because
since
of
the Merrill Academy opened
competition,
up.
right?
I think that's a piece of it. I think that's a good piece of it. And but what is out there right now is the people saying that well, we can't afford it. But in Cumberland, not only have our schools improved, Lincoln as well, Pawtucket Center Falls. Cumberland, we've run surpluses in our schools since the Merrill Academy opened up.
Really?
And we have not spiked our property taxes the time frame that I was mayor during those time frames, and this year I think we've had maybe a 1% average tax increase in our community over that period of time, which is not bad in this
Right.
difficult environment.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
So we're concerned that not only would these legislations that's being considered impact young kids in a negative way in those families, impact, I believe, the kids that are, students that are in our district schools, district
Now,
schools.
what would it do? Shut them down?
It would. What it would do is there's legislation that would do three things. One, it would freeze the funding, which
Right.
would basically bankrupt some of the best
Sure.
best public schools in the state of Rhode Island over a period of time. It would force them to close, which that's the intent of the legislation. And then it would
To go back to the old way.
That's right. Just kind of going back
Which
to the
doesn't
status
work.
quo, which I think that we've
doesn't
learned
work.
that we're not competing on a global
No.
learning gap strategy, and we're certainly not competing on local.
28th in math, 28th in science.
But
in
we
the-
are
in the world.
working with, and we're bringing in skill and talent from all over the country. I was just mentioning it before. I had a discussion today on the phone with the Secretary of Education in Louisiana, Secretary of Education in New Mexico, asking us what did we do here in the Merrill Academies and how did that happen, and why was, because they're hearing all these great things. Well, we don't want to give that up.
Right.
You shouldn't give that up. We need to keep on pushing forward and create these great public schools. We're looking, I think I mentioned last time, with the district, Pawtucket School District, and we're working with the superintendent right now, the Merrill Academy organization, and we believe that the next charter that is Merrill Academy that's going to be offered up in a year or so from now will help the Pawtucket School District with a district charter compact and bring in hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe millions of dollars into the Pawtucket School Districts to help the students that are in those schools. So it's very, very disturbing to hear the stories, and then, just like we were this week in terms of the fire issues. But
We're going to get to that in a minute.
But to hear the pushback of trying to stop the very innovations that's going to help make Rhode Island be a place where people want to live and raise their families because our public schools will get better, and to take the Merrill Academy and try to shut them down.
Right.
It's not doing us any good, and it's certainly not doing the kids any good or the families that are.
Well, it's a very
depending on
negative
it.
bill, is what it is.
It's a very negative bill, and so it's getting some traction, and we're concerned about it, and we're going to keep on, advocating for the.
Is it still in committee? Is the bill?
It is. It's going to be heard
Is it in
tomorrow.
the House or the Senate?
It's in the Senate right now. It's in the Senate. And so we're going to just keep on advocating as I had as mayor and now as lieutenant governor, because that's going to be one of the three things that we're going to work on: the municipal issues, the consolidation, regionalization, the small business things that we just talked about,
Right.
and great public schools. I'm going to continue to advocate for great public schools. That's what we need.
And again, competition plays well.
Competition,
in
and you shouldn't be trying to-
education and in,
yeah.
and in the PUC and every other aspect
It doesn't
of
do
our
us
life.
any good to try to negatively impact great public schools. And last night at Rhode, the Department of Education, the Rise Academy, which is going to open up in Woonsocket, the Merrill Academy in Woonsocket, it's going to service North Smithfield, and both the mayors of North Smithfield and Woonsocket have stepped up as mayors throughout the state of Rhode Island and said, we're going to be on that board. We're going to serve on a school board, and we're going to really contribute into creating any way we can great public schools in our state.
So now you got to reach out down to the southern part of the state, right?
We will, and we have, and so we've had discussions about ways that we can do that, and there are some very good charter schools on the southern part of the state as well that would be negatively impacted if this type of legislation was ever passed.
Right, right.
In a real serious way. We're talking about bankrupting these great public schools. We're talking about denying kids and families the ability to have choice, denying them, actually attending a great public school. And in the overall scheme of things, which our focuses have been on, the mayors have been on, it is going to negatively impact the kids that are currently in our district schools that are going to actually benefit from the competition that the Mayoral Academy and other charters are bringing into the mix.
So we don't want
Serious.
that to happen.
Serious
folks.
stuff. That was kind of a serious point after I was a great uncle.
Yeah. We have a great uncle.
Was a great uncle.
Well, we got to have a great song after
All
a
right.
great uncle.
There you go.
Who's that guy over there? Is that Al?
Yes, could be.
Al Keith.
It is.
Now, what do you got? You got married. Now you're getting divorced, or you got
been
divorced.
divorced,
You
been
got divorced.
divorced.
No. I mean, are we the musical? Our musical journey here is it?
Right.
What is it now?
Can I mention 2 small businesses in South County, speaking of small businesses?
Go ahead.
All right, yeah. There is Java Madness. That's in Wakefield. The owner is Mark LaHood. I host an open mic there every Saturday afternoon, 2 to 5. And then there's Hank's Down South, which is a barbecue grill and a music venue in Narragansett, right next to the fishing boats. And the owner of that place is Amy Mason, and I host an open mic there every Thursday night from about 7 to 11. So
There you
come
go.
on down. The barbecue at Amy's is great. The coffee's at Mark's place is awesome.
Beer, would he introduce us?
Yeah, would you introduce us if we go down there for a pint of beer?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah, they got buckets of beers too. They got the whole thing.
They
there
got
at
buckets
Amy's.
of beer too?
Yep. And there's a deck overlooking, the inlet from the ocean. It's an awesome thing.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is that Great Salt Pond? Is that what that is over there?
The salt ponds, that's at the one over at Java Manus. That's the salt pond.
Right.
Yep.
All right, give us a song.
All right, this is the title track from the upcoming CD. It's called The Color Blue.
The Color Blue.
Good morning blues. Well, how are you? I got a word for you, and that is goodbye. You came to me one day, you had nothing to say. Then you fill me up with all your lies. Saw you down the street, the kind I like to meet. Didn't realize, so I gave it a try. Went to bed last night, I was feeling alright, but my soul was shaking from side to side. Up again today, thought it's something to say. I couldn't get it out, so I went for a ride. Then I saw you again, round and back again. Must be something about the color blue. When will I learn? Must like getting burned. Won't someone please be my guide? Down this road again, same damn dead end. Must be the color blue. start all over again. And I'm wondering when I can never go back to being me. On this damn blues, nothing better to do than to keep on picking on the likes of me. I know that there's light, sometimes I see it inside, but it keeps on turning the color blue. Good morning, blue. Well, how are you? I've got a word for you, and that is goodbye. Whoa,
How's that, huh?
That was great.
That's Rhode Island. That's part of the Aerial American
Yeah, it's 60%.
series. 60% of Rhode Island is still forested. It's still without a lot of houses.
So this, it's nice to protect all that property and everything else. It's good. But one of the things I think we should be advocating for is a population growth strategy in the state of Rhode Island.
Yeah?
Well, everybody's resigned to the fact that they think that we're going to keep on losing population
right.
and we're going to get.
But I think it's stable. I think it's leveled off, hasn't it?
Not really.
No?
No, I think we're one of the few states in the country that,
Well, we
that
lost a little
population.
bit. Yeah,
and there's, how many times have you heard the discussion that we're going to lose a Congress seat because we're going to go under a million people?
Right.
I think that you should do strategically what we did in Cumberland, which was to have a 1% growth model and do it strategically in terms of recruiting and advocating for all the pockets that make sense, but in one area definitely the entrepreneurial spirit that we need to recruit into the state of Rhode Island.
Absolutely. But I'll tell you one thing we don't want to do, and it seems to be happening anyway, is we don't want to recruit people that don't bring anything to the state.
No, I think that you've got to be very intentional about what you're doing in terms of being very diverse in your approach in terms of a population growth. Because we had people in, we had the CVS story, back on the education thing, Bob, is that, we created almost 600,000 square feet of additional space in Cumberland for CVS's campus. So that's why I wasn't too worried about them taking 15,000 square feet and headed up to Boston, whether we got 600,000 square feet.
600,000?
600,000 square feet.
Well, and then you have another company up there.
Yeah, well, we just had Okanite just do 180,000, almost 150, almost 200,000 square feet right now on the roof right now with $50 million of investment on computer industrial manufacturing equipment. But
I think that's, and I'm going to stop you right there, and I think that's partly because when you got someone in leadership position in that town that they know, they feel comfortable that leadership person is pro-business, it makes it easier for a business to want to invest in that particular area.
Yeah, and I think you're seeing that right now in the leadership of the governor's office. Well, time will tell. People ask me how am I doing and whether I want to like being lieutenant governor. I said, well, ask me in a couple of years. We'll see what we get done, right?
Yeah. Well, you seem to still be having fun at it, right?
Yeah, I think that it's. Well, I've enjoyed talking to people and trying to. I like to solve puzzles and try to solve puzzles. And at the lieutenant governor's office, I don't have as much on my plate as the governor does, but where I can be supportive of a puzzle that really would help the state of Rhode Island, that's either coming out of the governor's office or any other place in the state of Rhode Island. If I can play a role in solving that puzzle, that's what we're going to do.
Well, and it's nice to see that the governor is allowing you to participate in because she obviously knows your background. She obviously knows you bring a lot to the table.
Well, I think the first thing that we did together, and it was the governor's suggestion, and I took her up on it to draft out, an executive order that talks about municipal regionalization, consolidation, and trying to find ways to create efficiencies into communities. And you're about ready to talk about one that is extremely important, and we've weighed in fairly strongly.
This is dangerous. This is very, very, very dangerous, folks. What may happen in this state if there's a legislation is it in the Senate or is it in the House?
It's in the Senate and the House.
Senate. It's in both.
Appears that it has traction to
take away the power, basically, of all the communities, right?
Yeah, in terms of negotiation.
Negotiations with what?
With the firefighters, the public safety in general.
All right.
Police, fire, and really, I think you could talk about all the things that are around any level of any negotiation, and we negotiated, I think, 12 contracts while I was mayor in the town of Cumberland.
And every town is different.
Every town's different.
How can you put a brush, a one stroke over all of them and say they're all the same?
We had a press conference there last week. We had another press conference there yesterday. We had well over 75% of the state of Rhode Island population represented with the municipal leaders that came in my office. As you know, when you showed up my office, the emblems or the insignias of every community in the state is on our walls to remind us who sent us there and why we're there and the job we need to do. So we had the municipal leaders in twice in the last 7 days. And the issue at hand really is, does the General Assembly, is it right that the General Assembly actually would get involved with local negotiations?
And it's amazing that they're even trying to.
I think it is.
It's just
we testified in that. Not only does it have the short-term implication of what might be happening in Providence, but it has the long-term implication if they tie the hands. And actually, what they're considering doing is setting a floor and a ceiling to hours that a firefighter would work.
That's unbelievable.
Before they were given overtime, and the North Kingstown case, Supreme Court case, that has verified that local communities have the right to structure their hours.
Up to 53 hours, right?
53 to 56 hours.
Right.
And yet the General Assembly because they're not happy with the way that the Providence negotiations either started or continue. But that's just in the early stages,
right.
Bob. What is happening now is that not only is short-term going to impact current negotiations in the state of Rhode Island. Mayor Lombardi's negotiating right now a fire contract that there seems to be a lot of agreement on. So if the General Assembly didn't like the way that was happening in North Providence, would they step in and put a piece of legislation in to impact that negotiation? No. So, and then long term, Bob, think about it long term. We solved the problem in our town and our police contract by setting a new standard for retirement benefits and
for new hires, right?
For new hires, and every new hire that came in, we put them under a format they agreed to work under,
right.
And they have the ability to negotiate that over time, and the economy is going to dictate where that goes. But if the General Assembly came in and dictated legislation that wouldn't let us to restructure for new hires in our community, we'd be sitting on a $200 million cliff on the problem on the health insurance and retirement 15 years from now. We wouldn't have been able to take a $60 million unfunded liability on our health insurance for our police and retirement and then move that to a real-time $20 million within 1 year. Nor would we have been able to be in a position to save the dollars through the negotiations to allow us to fully fund not only the pension,
right.
But also the health insurance, retirement health insurance for all the retired police officers that are in our system. So what you're talking about is taking away local negotiation authority.
Authority.
And it's not a role of the General Assembly. It's not a healthy role for the General Assembly to be in at the very time when we're talking about creating a state of Rhode Island that is
it's
healthy,
business
friendly, and that communities are solvent and are the places that people want to live. It's a serious error in judgment if they pass a piece of legislation.
Well, I won't say it. I mean, maybe you won't say it, but I'll say it. The unions have just way too much power in this state when it comes to that stuff like that.
Well, I don't know what, and I think what has happened is that the story that has been coming from the union leadership has taken traction with General Assembly members.
They're making it sound like
they're making it sound like they're going to force them to work without paying them.
Yeah, they're going to go from 42 to 53, but not going to get any more money.
That's correct,
for it,
and
right?
that's absolutely false, and it's not even close to being true. The issue is whether or not you are going to pay them overtime for that or regular time,
Right.
or some portion up to regular time that is fair and negotiated. But they are getting traction. General Assembly members believe that local municipalities were going to use this North Kingstown legislation to be punitive towards the firefighters. That's ridiculous. I worked with rescue personnel all the time I was there. They were a valuable component to services that a community provides. First of all, it's not smart to disrespect them.
Right.
Second of all, they should be respected.
Right.
So the notion that somehow that municipalities were going to use that North Kingstown case to penalize firefighters and have them work extra hours without getting paid is false.
Right.
And that's what the General Assembly believes. And I think yesterday...
I don't think they believe that. I really don't think they
they
believe
do.
that. I think that, no, I just
Through
think
this
that
weekend,
that's the way the union wants to continue with this. In Providence itself, what they spend $10 million in overtime last year?
Yeah, and that's what needs to really get
That's
under
crazy.
We
and
need,
that's what changes if you change from 4 platoons to 3 platoons.
you will be able to save dollars. North Kingstown feels as though in their small community they realize over $2 million of savings annually.
Because, folks, what it is presently you have a minimum manning. I think it's in Providence, it's either 97 or 98 or something like that. I had the safety director on here last year. We talked about that. And you only needed, 6 people to go out of call in sick for them to be able to have to call someone in for overtime. If you go to a 3 platoon instead of a 4, it would take 38 or 39 people to be out before you would have to call in somebody to work overtime. Did you see the Journal today?
I did.
Did you see?
Yes.
I mean, it's laughable. Well, it's actually sickening. It's not laughable. How would you like to? Do you know that there's one fireman in Providence? I won't mention names. That made $185,000. His base pay was $72,627. He made $101,000 in overtime.
And that's what we're talking about.
That's crazy.
Municipal leaders have a tool to help control that overtime so that property taxes will be stabilized and not be escalating on the property owners. And that's what we're talking about. Charlie Mayor Lombardi testified twice at the press conference and then again at the hearings and just said this is about the ability of local leadership to help contain and control property taxes. And it's legal and it's not punitive and the levels of service does not go down, yet the General Assembly is really seriously entertaining passing a piece of legislation, and they're injecting themselves in local negotiations, which I believe is a mistake.
Well, I think that any state rep or state senator that votes for that legislation should be ousted at the next election.
Well, they certainly should have to explain themselves to the local taxpayers.
Because it makes no sense. It really does. If you're a taxpayer in this state, I don't care what city you live in, if you're a taxpayer in this state and you just look at this Providence, I'm sure it goes on in all the other cities that have this minimum manning provision. There are over 100 people in Providence, on the Providence Fire Department, over 100 firemen that make over $100,000 a year. No wonder in Pawtucket years ago the mayor went to jail for selling jobs on the fire department. It would be cheaper to pay someone $10 grand to get your kid on the fire department than to put him to college. If making this kind of dough, $100,000 a year.
It's a lot
to be a fireman. It's a dangerous job. Okay, it is, but let's be realistic, folks. And that's what some of these people
I think what
are.
I said in the press conference last week was something to the effect, look, there's no mistake about this. This is a tug of war between creating and helping to create solvent, livable communities and the status quo. So the question is, does the status quo win out, and that we keep on doing things exactly the way that we have been doing and escalating these numbers even further, because that's what it's going to exacerbate even higher as pay scales increase. Overtime budgets will increase.
Lieutenant Governor, thanks for stopping by once again. We
Okay.
we haven't fixed all the ills in Rhode Island. But
enjoy your pen.
Enjoy my pen.
Yes, to sign off a couple good contracts.
Sign off the contracts. Advance Rhode Island,
That's
right?
right. Advance Rhode Island, boosting business
Advance
friendliness.
Rhode Island, and let's get this contract settled in Providence without the state getting involved in it. It should not be anything to do with the state. It should be a city deal, a municipality dealing with their chief, their police, their fire, and whatever other contracts they have to deal with.
Amen.
State shouldn't be dealing with that. Hey, Al, can you give us a song? Take us out of here.
All right, this one's called World Class Traveler. That'll be on the upcoming CD called Color Blue, which will be first available at Java Madison Wakefield.
All right.
I've been all around the world. Yes, I know my way around. No, mama, I will never let you down. Well, I'm a world-class traveler, a reservation guaranteed. Yes, I'm a world-class traveler, reservation guaranteed. Let me know you want, oh, loving is my affair. Let me know you want it, oh, loving is my affair. I've been from New York to Chicago, out to LA. I even been to Tokyo, don't need no TWA. Miami, Florida, by way of LA. World-class traveler, hear what I say, yeah, yeah. Hey! I've been all around the world. Yes, I know my way around. Yes, I've been all around the world. Lord, I know my way around. Let me know, mama, 'cause I'll never touch the ground. Yes, I'm a world-class traveler.